Thanks everybody for tuning into the podcast today. I am Mike Monteforti. I am super excited about our guests today. I've got Lauren and Aaron with us. I'm going to have them tell you a little bit about who they are and what they do in just a second. This one is going to be packed full of great information, so put your seatbelts on, pay attention. This one's going to be great. So guys, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having us, Mike. This is exciting.
Good. I'm so glad for the folks that listen to our stuff and watch our social media and listen. We've been trying to do this one for a little while, and I've been super pumped to finally get you guys in and get this information out there to the folks that listen to us. So thanks so much again for joining us.
Yeah.
So let's do the real quick, tell me who you are, tell me what you do, and then we'll kind of dive in and we'll just have a conversation, okay?
So we are Lauren and Aaron, the owners of Dovetail Companies. We provide one point of contact to older adults and their families that are navigating a major life transition. So what that means is we might start by helping someone find where they're going to go if home is no longer serving them a purpose. Or we have found after COVID a large population of very active, independent folks that just want something more for themselves. They want to be active, they want to build a community. So we first help them find where they're going to go, and then we have two other entities of our business. We are senior and specialty move managers, so we help them sort and organize through their homes that they've been in for 30, 40, 50 plus years, as we know. Really giving reverence to their items and what do we do with those items that we can't take with us and that we want to hold on to, that have so many emotional values attached to them.
Right.
And then we also are the Dovetail Group at Compass. So we provide really one point of contact throughout that whole transition from start to finish, and that finish is looking at listing and selling their long-time home. We truly believe in the amount of time that we've been in this space that providing a warm handhold to an older, mature seller is very different than working with buyers or sellers maybe in their 30s or 40s.
Definitely.
And there's so much emotional attachment to that. So we love to provide education, hence why we're here with you and have just really built some synergies with you and really just helping people through this process. It's very emotional, it's very overwhelming, and our goal is to make it as seamless as possible for them.
I love that. It's fantastic. Hearing you say, people that just want something more, that rings true to me because the people that I deal with every day, day in, day out, that's it. That's one of the things that they're looking for. And sometimes I'm dealing with children of older individuals that need some help, and we get so concerned about maybe a big picture thing that we miss some of the little stuff, like items that have sentimental value, and what do we do with this stuff? And you never know how much stuff you have until you go to move, and remembering that these are real people.
Yes.
And you saying that it's an emotional thing, trying to figure out these next steps is something that again can easily be missed when we're trying to check the boxes.
Well, there's such a negative connotation around aging, right? But it doesn't have to be so difficult. It doesn't have to be sad. It doesn't have to be eerie. It can be a really beautiful transition and a beautiful story for someone to tell and look towards their future, and that's our goal.
I really think one of the biggest blessings that we can bring to a family and an older adult is that because we live in an ageist society and people really don't plan for aging sometimes until they're in the throes of it, they miss the opportunity to think big and really craft what they want for themselves and their future. And one thing we start with all of our clients is really getting to know them as a human. What makes them tick? What are they passionate about? What are some things they used to do that they're not doing anymore in their life that they can get back to? Not just for our older adult client, but for their adult children, helping people find the joy again in their days. Because when you come to planning in a mindset of joyfulness and excitement about the future, there's going to be a very different path and journey to take than coming to it from a state of fear or reaction to a diagnosis or change. So I think that's one thing when we're starting with all of our clients, and it's always a truly complimentary consultation, it's to get to know who are they as a human. Oftentimes in our society, especially in the aging industry, people focus on what's not working well for someone.
Definitely.
And they want to jump in with solutions.
Yeah.
Lauren and I, about 5 or 6 years ago, started studying something called positive psychology. In short, it's focusing on what's working really well for someone and expanding upon it. That we can really motivate ourselves to make change in our life when we feel good about the change and we have our autonomy. Really engaging older adults to remain in control, get excited about their future, and then map out a plan that makes sense for them. That sounds simple because it is.
Yeah, when you boil it down to it, you know,
Yeah.
but saying that you can kind of embark on this journey with the goal of this being a joyous thing, and even saying something like, well, what's something that you did before that brought you joy
Yes.
that you haven't been doing? I'm telling you that is lacking. That doesn't
Huge.
happen because again, it's let's react to the negative things and try and fix those things and check the boxes and not think about, hey, what are the positive things? What are the positive things that were going on before that we could find a way back to? I think people just abandon it. They assume, I was doing that before, I can't do it anymore.
Exactly.
That's not always the case.
No, especially
right?
personality. We ask our clients a lot, or adult children, about their parents. Are you introverted or extroverted? Do you like to be around people? Well, I used to, but not anymore. You still are. That essence of who you are stays with you. We just need to help get you back to it. And I don't want to say we negate. I mean, there are real points of incapacitation for people. There are
Yes.
real diagnoses of cognitive impairment or physical decline, but they don't define us. They're part of our picture, but they're not our entire picture. So we're going to take that as certified care managers, dementia practitioners. We're going to take that into account, but it's not who you are as a total being. We're going to ask a lot of questions about the other stuff too. And it's really equated to success for our clients in moving forward with ease. Like one of our taglines is change is difficult. This experience does not have to be,
Yeah.
because we're not going to negate it, but we're going to help you find a new path forward that makes this not just surviving whatever life transition you're in, but thriving
Right.
through it.
Right.
I always love, Erin says, you can't go over it, you can't go under it, you have to go through it, right? And that is so true. But when you go through it and you ask the question, what do you want to see for your future? Tell me what used to bring you passion and joy. And then you really craft something that's going to work well for you to continue to have that passion and joy in your life, but couple that with whatever may be going on right now. It's amazing to see the power of pause with our clients, them sitting back and saying, oh, this is really doable. This doesn't have to be so scary. I didn't want to think about this for a really long time because I'm just putting my blinders on. I've always planned to stay in my home, die in my home, and that's it.
Yeah.
So it's amazing to see what can actually come out of it when we sit there and just really get to know them at the heart of who they are.
Can make the whole thing less scary.
Yes.
You know, what I do, talking to people and doing what I do, it can be scary. So it's one of the best parts of my day is when I have somebody come in that's stressed or anxious and we talk about things and I say, okay, I can help alleviate some of this stress, some of this anxiety with what we do and solve some of these problems. And having a person get up and leave the office in a different kind of state of mind than how they came in, and carrying less of that weight and being able to take some of that weight and transfer it to us and make them walk out and feel lighter than they came in.
Yes.
Best part of my whole day.
We call that the second paycheck. That it's just the really feel-good work that we do. I recently had a client, heavy life situation. Life has not been easy for her. Came into the environment and we just had a wonderful hour-and-a-half chat. And when I went to leave, she says, I feel like I went to the doctor and took a magic pill. I feel so different with you leaving right now. And it was just talking.
Yeah.
I think information is really powerful. There's such a fear of the unknown. So when we can demystify it, address it, and give simple solutions, the fear is gone. And the best decision, we always say, is an informed one. So just getting the information and talking with someone who's in alignment with your views and wishes. I think we see this a lot in the industry as what we call cookie cutter planning, where some professionals just come in, they have their questions, and they create cookie cutter plans for people.
Yeah.
that doesn't work. We're all so different. Life experiences, family dynamics, personalities. Our plans and conversations have to be so specific and tailored to that individual.
Right.
And that's what we love about what we do every day, getting to hear people's stories, helping them get excited, demystifying all of this fear. It's really rewarding.
The fear of the unknown part of it is, I mean, it's a real thing, and for families, again, they don't know where to start a lot of the time. There's so much good information, bad information, misinformation, outdated information. People go online and start Googling stuff, and it gets, down this rabbit hole of God knows what. And so, they end up more confused than when they first started trying to do research. So being able to shed some light on, we can help you figure out, again, this path it's hugely powerful, and it takes some of that scariness away that's there when people just don't know what to do. And so I look at my own family and how I got into this, and all of my clients know my story, and that I got into this when my grandfather got sick. But that was the state of things with my family. It was, we have no clue what to do. We don't know what's available to us. We don't know what the options are. We don't know how to move forward. And so, we need some help and some guidance figuring out, again, what different paths can we take, and how do we take that first step. And so, again, that's kind of how I got here and how I get into this. But it was one of the things I love to ask my podcast guests is, so tell me, Larry, how'd you get here? It's a unique choice to dedicate your life to helping these folks. And I just love to hear how'd you come to it.
I'd love to give you the abbreviated version because it was 15 years in the making. So I've always had an affinity for being with older adults since I was a young child. My story is similar to yours. It was my grandparents' personal situation that originally at 21 years old, my grandfather had Alzheimer's disease. My grandmother, who was the healthy caregiver, and we see this often, she declined very quickly caring for him, and she passed away, and our family was then tasked with finding what to do with my dad, my grandfather. And so as a family, we came together in crisis. My aunts and my father found an assisted living, memory care assisted living for him, and I started visiting him and volunteering at the memory care assisted living, and I loved the home-like warm environment that they offered. I grew up volunteering in my local nursing home in my small town, so I had a lot of experience in that clinical, skilled medical environment with older adults. But this was the first experience I had in this home-like environment, and I loved every second of it. I left my day job. I was working at WBZ News Radio at 21 years old to be a hospice volunteer. My first 2 hospice patients were also at assisted living. And so I left that corporate world to go work in senior living. I just felt this calling to be with older adults full time. But what happened through all those years working in senior living is finding where you're going is literally the tip of an iceberg. If you think about an iceberg, what you see on the surface, what's below is much more.
Right.
And so just talking about where you may go, people start to think about, well, how do I get there? What about all the stuff in my home? What about my son who lives in the basement? Where is he going to go? So about 7 years ago, I had a literal aha moment. I had helped thousands of older adults at this point in my career go from home to senior living community, but I had to refer them to, on average, 6 different professionals to get them there. And it was debilitating. This is emotionally overwhelming at best.
It's exhausting just to hear you say 6 different professionals.
It's too much.
Already.
So they needed an estate planner, a financial advisor, a realtor, a mover, a clean out company. And it was already a heightened emotional situation. So I literally had in the middle of the night an aha moment. What if I created a one point of contact solution? So older adult and or family member has their person, and we manage every aspect of this process alongside of them. So our clients remain in control, but we're here to manage all of the logistics so they can focus on the emotional aspects of this. One piece of our service that we haven't mentioned yet today is managing estates. So even if the older adult has passed away, and the adult children are now dealing with the monumental task of the house and all the stuff in the house and what to do, and the family dynamics, our one point of contact streamlined service to manage it all, allowing them to focus on the emotional aspects. So we're happy to say 7 years in, so Lauren joined me on my second year. She's the co-owner and vice president. We now have a team of 38 on our team.
Amazing.
And we execute these transitions with ease for our clients and truly have so many testimonials of people thriving. Instead of like gritting your teeth and bearing it, they're having fun and telling stories about the belongings in their home and connecting with items that they haven't connected with in a long time. So it can be cathartic.
Yeah.
And they're ending up better on the other side of this experience than we first met them. And so it was exciting to have the idea for the business, but it's been really fulfilling to see it through fruition. One piece of our service that's also very unique is our real estate services.
Yeah.
So when I had the idea for creating this business, I thought I would just partner with wonderful real estate agents
Right.
who could handhold the real estate side. For many of our clients, their home is their largest financial asset,
Yep.
and they need it to work for them. All of these options are extremely expensive,
Right.
and so our clients need every dollar from the hard-earned equity of that property to afford them. So I realized very early on that the average real estate services that are available were not specific skill sets needed for our clients, which is a level of empathy and kindness and expertise that cannot be trained, I think. It's through life experience. And so I realized we'd create a new way. So we are now part of Compass. Compass is the #1 real estate brokerage in America and in Massachusetts. But our team is exclusively a senior real estate specialist team. We are listing exclusive agents, solely supporting older adults and or their families with the listing and selling. But we do that in a very strategic way,
Okay.
just like all of our other services. We allow our clients to focus on the emotional aspects of the transition once they are moved and settled into their new space. Then with ease, as certified senior and specialty move managers, we deal with the contents of the home, estate sales, donation coordination, clean out services, and then we can prepare the home for the market without the older adult and their belongings in the home,
Yeah.
which ultimately equates to a better sale price, a smoother sales process, and there's other aspects of that that are unique and proprietary to what we do, but it minimizes the stress
Right.
tremendously. And then financially, all of our services, so helping people find where they're going to go, packing, moving, and all of our vendors, the moving companies, the clean out companies, the painters, we hold all invoices to be paid at the sale of the home, because for a lot of older adults, liquidity can be an issue.
Definitely.
They can't necessarily tap in to the equity of their home until after. So we've just streamlined that experience, so it's one less thing for people to worry about.
Saying that, like you mentioned earlier, you guys, when you're selling a home for someone that's maybe in their 30s or 40s, it's different, right? It's different from someone that's been in their house for
60.
Yeah, right. And years and years and years, and accumulated items, and have personal items and family artifacts, and just that sort of emotional attachment. It's different from younger people, younger family. People in their 30s and 40s are still in their prime earning years. So if they need to get a room painted or make some small repairs, again, different position in life where, okay, I'm working, I can write a check and boom, off you go paint the living room, right? But liquidity can be an issue, and we've got folks that have worked so hard a lot of times to pay off their house or build equity in their home, but doesn't mean that you can just write a check to a plumber or a painter or whatever. So being able to say, well, we can get this done to maximize sale price, but defer you from having to pay for it until we've got the proceeds, that's huge.
Yeah.
I think the best thing that we do, and we always say we don't feel like we work a day in our life, but it's really sitting with our clients to understand what is your particular situation. One, no two people age the exact same. Their plans and their future is not going to be the same, right? But how can we get you from point A to point B, and what is that going to look like? So their plans are all so different.
Yeah.
And it's the strategic part behind that we can help move them forward. And it is that. Some of our clients do sell their house and then move, right? Others, they can't do that. They need that liquidity. They need a strategic plan of how am I going to be able to get there? How can I afford this while this happens? But I think the beautiful stories at the end are their homes sell faster and for way more money when they are out of that house.
Yeah.
We can prepare that home, and we're looking at what is actually going to help you get from point A to point B in the best way possible.
I can't tell you how many calls we get where someone calls and says, I'd like your help with downsizing and getting my home ready for the market. And we say, okay, where are you going? Well, I don't know. So why are we talking about downsizing and selling a house if we don't know where we're going?
Right.
We feel so often the process is backwards.
Yeah.
Well, an agent told me I need to list and sell now because the market's strong.
Of course.
Well, the market's going to remain strong, so let's put that on hold. We always say the longer the planning runway our clients have, the more successful the outcome. So let's pause and make sure that the plan makes sense for you and your goals. And with time and attention, successes across the board, not only with the transition, but with selling that home for top dollar.
Right.
Our philosophy is the opposite. A lot of our clients receive those postcards that say, like, sell now,
Sell.
as is.
Yeah.
That person who buys for low is
Yeah.
going to do the paint and the floor and the things we would have done. Now they're going to
Yeah.
recoup your
Those
hard-earned equity.
Right.
If we have time to plan, we can do that for you to put that money in your pocket.
Yeah.
And the same goes for estates. You know, your parents may have left you a home because they want that to be your nest egg.
Right.
Don't sell that for minimal money. There's a way to do this to ensure top dollar for the surviving beneficiaries.
Definitely. All right, so I'm going to ask you a question that it might be a little tough to answer because all of your clients, just like mine, are so different, right? And there isn't a cookie cutter plan. There isn't these are the same things that we're doing forever. Everybody's different. Everybody's situation is different. So the services you provide are going to vary, right, based on who's coming in to see you and what their situation is. And we talked about some of the things that you guys offer. And I was going to say, well, walk me through. I'm calling you and I need help. But the answer that you're going to give on the other side of that phone is going to be very, very different based on, well, what do you need help with,
Yes.
right? I want to downsize. Well, okay, hold on, let's talk about that. Or, give me a couple of thoughts. Hey, I need help. Okay, give me a few examples. What are the things that I need help with when I'm calling you? And then how do we deal with that? Again, with all of us knowing it's going to be different for
Yes.
everybody. But let's shed some light on some of those things.
So we really receive calls usually from, 3 different people. One is a professional will call and say, I have a family in crisis. Someone, whether it is in the hospital with a heart attack or a stroke or whatever, they're going to need help finding what's next. So anyone that may need help determining what's next. Is it to age in place successfully at home and bring in home care providers? We can help with that. If it's considering options outside of your current home, whether it's right sizing into a condominium or 1-floor living, or if it's considering senior living options, that's our expertise. We can help you with that. The other type of phone call we receive is from the adult children. So adult children can get really overwhelmed. They're usually calling in a state of panic because their parent maybe isn't putting a plan together. And so they feel that they have to call us and get information. And we tell them to take a deep breath. They don't need to carry this load, that we're here to help engage their parent directly in this process to make a plan for themselves.
Yeah.
A lot of adult children feel that they have to be the bad guy and they have to be the one, and we give the gift of saying it really shouldn't be you. That when you align yourself with the right professionals to support your parent, we can help the parent move forward with more ease by being in control. And I don't say feeling in control, but actually engaging them in the process to be in some level of control.
Yeah.
And then the third phone call we receive who we can help is the older adult directly, who is maybe touring options or thinking about what to do with their stuff. Because we provide so many different services, people usually ask, like, so when do we call you, or what's a good referral for you? Anything around aging. We do a lot of Alzheimer's and related dementia diagnoses is a passion of ours, and so just connecting families with support groups, neurologists, diagnoses. A lot of our business is pro bono in that sense. We just want to make sure that people have the information needed to make these really informed decisions. If that turns into clients, wonderful, and if it doesn't, we know that we left them better than we found them with the right tools to move forward.
Yeah. One of the things that you mentioned too, the kind of second of those 3 calls, you're getting a call from adult child, and sometimes I and you tell me, but I have to guess, when they're calling you must get sometimes kids that have tried to provide care for, as long as they could, spread themselves too thin. They're dealing with their own families, their own kids, trying to care for mom or dad. They don't have the training, first of all, really. When you say, a lot of times it shouldn't be them, right? They don't really have the training. They're doing their best, and that burnout and fatigue that sets in, and they get to their wit's end, and then finally say, okay, I need to find a way to, take some of this off my plate.
Yes.
I mean, you must see that a fair amount, because
Every day.
Yeah.
Yeah, do you want to talk about how we can support those scenarios?
Yeah, so when those calls come in, it's really just listening to tell us a story, what's going on, so that we can understand the backstory, and then it's not making any assumptions before we go to meet mom or dad, but it's really what's going on with you, what are you doing in your own life, what are you helping to navigate, and what are those family dynamics? There could just be them, or it could be 4 siblings, who is really the main influencer in that family, who is doing what parts. And sometimes it's uncovering that the wrong adult children are doing the wrong tasks, right? And so it's gathering that information, but I think the power of what we offer is when we do an in-home consultation.
Yeah.
To really see, how are mom or dad living? How can we really understand and unpack what needs to happen? And then really have the conversation of putting those layers together. And like Erin alluded to, those conversations should not come from the adult children.
Mm-hmm.
It really should come from the professional.
Yeah.
There is power in allowing them to remain the adult child, because that parent-child role reversal can really muddy the waters in the experience of aging. And so we want to empower them to stay in that role and to be that person, but to bring in the right professionals to support mom or dad, or both of them, and the adult children, because there is an easier way. You don't have to go at this alone.
And I think the sibling relationships and dynamics that are impacted greatly at this point later in life, when everyone means well, but we all have different relationships with our parent, and our roles start to change. By having a non-biased third party help facilitate these challenging family conversations can really impact a family long after the senior is gone. That if we do this well now, that these sibling relationships hopefully can remain intact, or even work through some stuff that maybe was there before. I'm sure you see that a lot in your practice. We're all just adult versions of our 5-year-old selves, so we get to see that played out later in life. But that's a true gift, I think, that happens through working with adult children, is allowing them to gain clarity, work it out, so that at the point of parent incapacitation or death, it's not coming up then.
Yeah.
We've kind of
Or the best response that we get on that initial phone call is, good luck, mom or dad are never going to talk to you. They're never going to want to leave their longtime home and make any sort of transition. And we, in a very nice way, say challenge accepted. Like, it's okay, right? But when we're sitting in front of that adult, that older adult, and asking, what do you want to see for your future, and let's put together a plan, it's a very different conversation. And then we're finding they're actually moving within 3 months. And the adult child thought it was going to be
years.
6 to 10 years,
Right.
or never
Yeah.
ever going to happen. It's the approach, and like Erin said, I think adult children come at it from a very loving space, but sometimes it can just feel controlling to the older adult.
Yeah.
You're telling me what I need to do. You're telling me I need to make a plan. This is, what I need to do from legal and financial planning. They don't want to hear that. They want to be part of that process. They want to be engaged in that, to say, what is it that you want to do?
We did a podcast recently about helicopter adult children.
Uh-huh.
So you hear about helicopter parents
Yeah.
and how it inhibits the child's independence. It really takes away skill sets. The same happens with helicopter adult children. We don't realize we're actually hindering the older adult's ability to move forward by just constantly smothering, but it comes from a place of love and concern.
So it's you kind of answered my next question before I asked it, but so that third type of call, you're getting the call from the older adult themselves. I would imagine sometimes they want a little bit of advocacy because their children might want them to do a certain thing, and it's not necessarily what mom or dad want to do, but they have difficulty expressing that to their kids and not wanting to necessarily go along with what the kids' plan may be, and be again more involved in that conversation and the plan for their lives, right?
Yeah.
I think as an age well advocate, which we both are, which means we're looking at the holistic person, all aspects of their life, what is going to help them age well, physically, cognitively, emotionally, spiritually, family dynamics. And so it's a give and take. So the children may have come to the table with this whole laid out plan that mom or dad doesn't agree with. So we kind of say, this is a great plan, let's put it to the side, let's see what mom or dad wants for a plan, and how do we marry the two?
Yeah.
Normally in those scenarios, the children end up being 100% on board because we're making sure that our clients are making an informed decision that's going to make sense, it's a safe plan. I can't believe, there's actually a lot of adult children who think independent living is what's best for their parent. And then we get involved, and maybe the client is not totally independent, and they actually need more assisted living. And the adult child just didn't understand the landscape of the options or whatever, and they end up saying, "Oh yeah, that does make more sense." So
or they don't know how to have that conversation with mom or dad to say, "We're noticing some differences here."
Very hard.
Right?
Yeah.
Because nobody wants to talk about what's not working.
Right.
They want to talk about what's working well. So it's
we can facilitate that conversation. So the adult child, especially adult daughters, no offense to adult sons out there, the adult daughters, we want them to be able to stay in the emotional support role as the loving adult daughter and never have to step into telling your parents what to do. So that's what we do. We're the one to engage the older adult and help them proceed with ease while allowing the daughter to remain the emotional support person.
Yeah, and there's a huge benefit to that because we don't want to be telling our parents what to do, right? I mean, and that makes them feel less powerful in their own lives. Geez, my kid that I raised is now telling me what's what, and that's just a horrible thing in and of itself. So for you to be able to facilitate those conversations and keep the kids in the role of providing emotional support as opposed to giving orders and giving directions, there's just a huge benefit to being able to do that, and the kids don't want to do that either. Taking that
they feel they have to because
Yeah.
if you don't have an expert in your life to lean on, you just feel like it has to come from you. I mean, how many articles do we see that say how to talk to mom and dad about assisted living, when to take the keys away?
Yeah.
We say that should never come from you.
Yeah.
So really, I'm glad that you have this podcast and educational programs to get the message out. Please, it shouldn't come from you.
Yeah.
We're here to help.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, the keys is a whole
that's another.
I hear that one all the time, and that's a huge fight. And again, it's people hearing that from their kids that they raised very, very hard. I think, my kids are in college, and think about someday them telling me what's what. Very, very hard.
Because to you, that's taking away your independence and your control, right?
Most definitely.
But there's easy solutions, not to go on a tangent, but we can engage the physician maybe to be the one to have the conversation with the older adult. There's ways to do it and address it. We're not going to not address it, but it doesn't have to be from you, the adult child.
Right. So tell me, if I figure out, okay, on some level, there's some way that you can help me, or I just want more information, or I want to learn more about what you do and what you might be able to do for me and my family, where do I start? What's the first step? Is it a phone call? Is it your website? Is it an email? Where do I go? Give me step one.
We always recommend that you just pick up the phone, give us a call, let's talk through the situation, and then we can plan from there. We always do a complimentary consultation in the home, and sometimes that leads to multiple complimentary conversations as well. But we really have to peel back the layers, like I said before, and understand what is your situation, what do we need to plan for, and how are we going to execute on that.
So if you visit our website, Dovetail Companies, all spelled out, dovetailcompanies.com, there's a lot of resources on there. There's articles and blogs. We have a YouTube channel, Dovetail Companies. Our number, which is 617-227-1600. I'm extension 1, Lauren's extension 2. You can always just pick up the phone. Email is okay, but we love to engage with a good old-fashioned phone call, which is like unheard of this day, but phone call is best. And to Lauren's point, the complimentary consultation in the home with the older adult is where the rubber meets the road.
Yeah.
Where we've always said we can't really give any quality recommendations or information until we get to know the older adult, the environment in which they're living, and then we can take it from there, either with complimentary recommendations or with a plan to help the older adult and family move forward with ease.
Yeah, I get that. Sometimes we get calls where someone, we pick up the phone and they say, "Hi, I need a trust," and we say, "Wait a minute."
Yeah.
Like we can't diagnose the issue and prescribe medicine for that diagnosis till we meet and talk and figure out your situation and your goals. So again, sending you an email. Email's great if that's all you got time for, but it's hard to get tone and information in the email. But you can talk to someone, get a sense of things, then get in there, do your visit, and really kind of.
And I do want to say this: don't wait.
Yeah.
So we always say to families when we're brought in crisis, like, we wish you called us 6 months earlier when you were just starting to think about these things. So please, for anyone listening, this is no sales gimmick, it's truly a complimentary consultation. Call us before you think you need us, and then we can avoid the pitfalls of sometimes crisis planning. Or you may be going, we see this a lot, you may be going down a planning path that actually doesn't fit your needs. So before you go too far down that path, just have us as a sounding board to throw it against to say, does this make sense? And it may, and you'll feel good that you've confirmed your ideas, or we may have other recommendations.
Yeah,
so don't wait.
You may have recommendations that people haven't thought of, don't know about, don't have any clue that's even available. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, even things like assisted living are relatively new when we talk about
and all different.
So people still get this idea that it's nursing home.
Yes.
Right? If I'm out of my house, it's nursing home, and they don't realize no, it doesn't have to be that. Yes, that's an option in certain situations, and sometimes it's the right option, but there are a lot of other things along the way.
But assisted living's a great point. That's a whole other podcast topic, but it's a world of gray. You may visit one assisted living that's light care and think that won't meet your loved one's need, or you may visit one that's heavy care provided and you'll think, oh my God, this is like a nursing home. They're all different.
Right.
Please don't visit options until you talk to an expert that helps you narrow down to your specific need.
And sometimes people dive into the options, but then really home is the best place for them to be. So don't make those assumptions about what needs to happen, or make your plan based on your best friend's plan or another family member's plan. Then that's what we do. If they call and say, I need a trust, it's like, tell me why you need a trust. Why do you feel that way?
My friend has one.
Exactly.
My aunt has
Doesn't
one,
work that way.
So it's very, very different.
Yes.
All right, you guys, I've kept you long
you.
enough. This was awesome. Thank you so much for the information. Thanks for joining me today. We'll make sure your contact information is out there and it's on the video as well. Clients of mine, people that listen to our stuff, these are the folks you need to call when you have these questions, and don't wait. Get the information. Being armed with that information, it's the best thing that you can do to make a plan and figure out how to move forward. So again, thank you guys for joining me. This was awesome. I appreciate it so much.
Appreciate it.
Thanks.